Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. In today's video, we'll be checking out some of the new Soulbind changes for all the different covenants. Soulbinds trees have expanded. All the different Soulbinds got more passes for us to pick from. They've added more potency conduits, and let's take a look at everything that is new when it comes to your covenants in general, as we got even more renowns, a lot more cosmetics to earn and whatnot. So let's take a look at this whole covenant system. If you guys enjoyed this video, give this video a like. Let me know your favorite part in the comments below. As for YouTube, they just keep pushing the whole thing of you need more interaction with viewers. So let's try it. If you guys enjoy this video, let me know, give it a like, let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments, and let's get into the content. So one of the biggest things you'll notice with Renown is there's a bigger Renown cap. Talking to your keeper of Renown, you can actually see a lot more levels with Renown. They actually had level 41 missing for a bit, and it looks like they recently added it with a patch, or maybe that was only missing on the Kyrian. But as you can see throughout Renown upgrades, you actually get to see even more upgrades for your Soulbinds, and even more bonuses like more anima rewards, adventure upgrades. I think some of these are placeholder because they're story stuff, but small Gargon mount, that's pretty cool. World quest rewards and such, tiny Sinstone, and it looks like they actually have updated some of these. Some of them are just like another adventure upgrade available, which again, maybe there's some placeholders, maybe there's not enough stuff because you saw it for a few levels it's just one upgrade. There's a lot of new things, and it goes all the way up to level 80. This is going to be a lot of renown to earn and a lot of renown to catch up. And this is just a first look. Maybe they'll fill it out more, who really knows. But if you're in PTR, you can see some of the different rewards that you can get and all these different renown. We're not really sure. Hey, how's it going? We're not really sure if we can get the flying mount at the end of this. It doesn't look like it says anything that has to do with flying mounts. We know that we're supposed to get flying at some point with Renown, and some people have oh my god, let me answer it. Let me just answer real quick. And some people have guessed that maybe you get this done with the maximum Renown 59 when you get your final story campaign done for the new patch 9.1 story stuff with your covenants. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll know more information in the future, but there's a lot more stuff with Renown and the covenant system. Let's take a look at more the player progression and player power side of the covenants, the Soulbinds, as a lot of them have gotten pretty massive upgrades. Taking a look at some of the Soulbinds and the Venthyr, you have a pretty large, I guess, Soulbind board. What would you call this thing? A tombstone if you're Venthyr? But as you can see, Soulbinds are pretty expanded. I mean, they take up a good portion of your screen too, and it goes all the way down with all your conduits. So this is interesting. You have basically the same setup as before, like the whole top end from here going up is about the same. You still have Thrill Seeker if you play Nagia. It shows you which specs you have it activated for. That's interesting. I did not know there was a thing. But you see, you have Thrill Seeker, you have your Agent Chaos, all these things stayed. The same thing for Theater and Draven, but they added this extra part at the bottom, and a lot of them are very similar. You have a potency conduit at the bottom. Then it splits off into either a finesse or an endurance slot. Above those, you will obviously have another passive, and at the very bottom, it ends with yet another passive. Now, all these are different for all the different Soulbinds, and we'll take a look at every single one of them. Before we go in, though, a lot of these conduits haven't been adjusted yet. So depending on your class, some have, but I think they'll have more conduit adjustments later down the patches. You'll also notice that some of these borders have a golden thing around them. This means that that conduit slot is empowered. So whatever you throw into here, it'll actually empower whatever your conduit is. I want to see if that actually shows up here. I don't think, yes, it does. You can actually see it right here. So I have counted the odds in this empowered slot, and it looks like all these slots right now are empowered. I don't know if that's supposed to be like that at the very beginning. Prior to this, Blizzard said only some of them you'll be able to empower, but not all of them. But here we have count the odds. Ambush, Slaughter, which is an old version of Flagellation that's not in the game anymore. But Ambush and Dispatch have a 25.5% chance to grant you a Roll the Bones buff you do not already have. This is a normal conduit for most Outlaw rogues to get more buffs as you use finishers and ambushes. Now, when you hover over to count the odds normally at a 213, and this is the same 213 version, this gives you 22.5% chance to get an extra roll. The empowered version is 25.5, so it's almost like it jumps a couple tiers, a couple item levels higher. So this empowers whatever conduit you put in. Like another one example here is Lash and Scars, although here I don't think it properly works. Flagellation does 4 more lashes, normally deals 90% increased damage, here 80, so it does work. Yeah, so it ups it like by 2 tiers, I believe, so it makes it even better. And I believe that's also same with defenses. This gives you 18% shield, this gives you 16, so it also does go up there. And I believe this is 2 at 3.6 seconds, 2.2, yeah, so it does upgrade it. We're not sure if these are supposed to be like that, all empowered. I think only some are supposed to be, but you never really know. Maybe it's PTR, and maybe it's like that just for testing. So that's how all of these Soulbinds are going to look like. Let's actually take a look at the Soulbinds themselves. Take a look at the Venthyr, Kyrian, Necrolords, as well as the Night Fae to see what else they offer. So Naji comes with the same stuff, but at the bottom you have a couple options. Nimble Steps. Enemies within 8 yards are slow by 10%. Which is a nice slow, can be useful in PvE or PvP. If you fall below 35% health, however, enemies within those 8 yards are rooted for 4 seconds. Can only occur once every 60 seconds. A perfect escape tool for either tanks, except for bosses of course, but also great in PvP. If let's say you are a priest getting hammered by a warrior, you hit him with that slow and you can just kind of run away as they're rooted for 8 seconds. On the flip side, you have Sinful Preservation. So with this one, health potions and health stones grant you an absorb shield equal to 50% of the maximum of the amount healed. So you get yourself an extra shield in raids and in dungeons, and in PvP if you have health stones, it also gives you a shield. I wonder if the health potion works for Outlaw in particular, because it technically treats the extra sippy cup with Drink Up Your Hearties as a potion in the game, even though you can use it in PvP. And I wonder if that could also give you a shield, which could be OP for Outlaw rogues in particular. But this one seems really cool. There's not a lot of warlocks in the Venthyr Covenant, but if you were a warlock, you could have yourself a 50% extra shield of whatever heal your healthstone gave you. This could be really interesting, good for tanks, healers, and DPS when it comes to survivability. At the very bottom, you have Fatal Flaw. When the haste effect of Euphoria, which is the buff at the very top, ends, for 10 seconds, you either get 20% crit or 20% versa. 20% versatility for more damage, or 20% critical strike for more chances of damage. This 20% is a pretty big number, and I bet that this is going to be a pretty big one for any spec that likes crit or versa, which rogues is definitely one of them. Monks, not a lot of monks is Venthyr, but hey, could be pretty good there. Or warriors maybe. This is really good actually, and it happens every single time after Euphoria ends. Next we have Theater, again same thing from top down except for the bottom portion. On the right side we have Life is but an appetizer. While you are well fed, gain 60 speed and 60 avoidance. The avoidance and speed could actually be good in Mythic Pluses. Avoidance is a stat that people are clamoring for when it comes to keys, as avoidance lets you take less AoE damage. So this one could actually be kind of good in keys, but maybe even in raids. On the other side we have It's Always Tea Time. When Soothe and Shade activates, which is the top ability with the mastery, you have a chance just to call Tubbins and Gubbins to create a shade, and if you stand inside of the shade you gain extra mastery. When that happens, Tubbins and Gubbins will offer you a cup of tea. It's actually NPCs that are standing there under an umbrella. And this tea will heal you for 402 health every 1 second and reducing damage taken by 5 while standing in the shaded area. Imagine if you're a tank or a healer and you get this mastery buff. Now you could stand inside of it and get a, well, not a big heal, a small heal, but also damage reduction, which could be pretty good in some situations. Not an amazing ability, but hey, better than nothing. And at the bottom is a bit weird, and I hope the Blizzard changes it, because it doesn't properly work right now, or at least I don't think it works. Once per day, you could speak with Theater and Sinful and obtain the Mad Duke's Tea, which increases your agility by 3%, your haste by 3%, or crit by 3%, or versa. Everything but mastery, apparently. So if you actually go talk to Theater while the Soulbind is equipped, you'll talk to him, and you could tell him to collect party favors, and he literally gives you Mad Duke's Tea. Now, this is a consumable. Like, you can use it once, and it works just like food or a potion. It doesn't override those things, so I think you can have potions and all the other consumables available with this thing. So let's say if I were to complete a load of myself out full of buffs, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't replace any of them. So my rogue is fully buffed up, and when I press this, yeah, it just adds an extra buff, but it disappears from your bags, and it gave me 3% extra crit. However, if let's say an hour passes, you lose that 3%. So I'm not really a huge fan of how this one works, because basically once a day for 1 hour, you gain a buff. Does this work when you die? I guess I should have tested it and just got hit by Train Dummy to see if this works when you die. I feel like this one is a little bit sketch. I would have liked it if it was like a buff that you got for a whole day. Either a bit more agility or I guess primary stat, a bit of haste, crit, or versa, which would be pretty strong on its own. But the fact that you can only use once, that means you can only use it in like 1 mythic plus key or for 1 hour while pulling a boss inside of a raid. Can you use it in PvP? I haven't got to try. So because of this like small functionality for this, I don't really know if it's that good as a final ability to look for. The other abilities are really cool, and maybe Blizzard thinks that Soothing Shade is just too good, that they wanted to give Theodore not as good one in the end because he's just overall strong, but I don't know how I feel about it. Maybe they'll change it in the future, but I feel like because of limited use, I just don't like it myself. Then we have General Draven. Again, like the others, same everything from the top, but at the bottom we have Intimidation Tactics. While below 50% health, Door of Shadows cooldown is 50% faster, and this one we can actually test. So as this raiding train dummy gets me below 50% health, hopefully without killing me. Okay, so the cooldown of this ability should be far shorter. Yeah, is it though? Does it work properly? Well, below 50% health, it is active. Okay, so I'm below 50% health. Door of Shadows, is it still a minute? It is still a minute, so this isn't working properly, but eventually I would imagine. Oh, Door of Shadows cooldown cover rate is increased by 200. Wait, so it is working properly. Cools down. Oh no, it makes sense. I guess it makes sense. 200%. Yeah, so you basically get like what, 30-second reduction, I think, I believe. Maybe faster than that. Is this faster? I think it might actually be a little faster. I don't really know. Maybe it scales off of haste. But this is pretty cool. It could give you a lot more mobility. If you're running Enduring Gloom as a tank, it could give you extra shields. This could be pretty good for setting up, like inside of really bad raid fights. This is extra mobility once in a while. And again, with bonuses of Enduring Gloom, this could be pretty cool. I can't say I hate it. I think it's kind of neat. And the other choice, now that we got a combat, Regenerative Stone Skin. Any overhealing done to you will heal you for additional 15% of overhealing amount over 6 seconds. This one is pretty cool. This one could be pretty cool. So let's say you have a Restoration Druid healing a tank, and you're the tank with this buff. You could basically build up a nice little healing over time ahead of time. So as I'm drinking myself a sippy cup, actually I am not overhealing, am I? Can I overheal with food maybe? All right, now that my sippy cup is back, when I use the ability, I'll actually get a heal over time. And you can see right here, it heals me every 2 seconds. This one could be pretty good. Whether you're a healer, whether you're a tank, this could be enough to give you a bit of a heal over time before things really go bad. This one is interesting. We'll have to see, because it is like, you know, over-healing converts to healing, which I guess becomes even more over-healing. Could have some potential, again, if you have a Restoration Druid putting up hots on you ahead of time before you take a pretty big hit. That could add you a little bit extra healing on top of it. Then you also have at the very bottom, Battlefield Presence. This one is very interesting. To read this one out, and we can go to train dummies. Battlefield Presence, each nearby enemy trembles at your presence, increasing your damage healing done by 1%. Reducing damage taken by 1, up to maximum of 3 enemies. So when you're fighting one singular enemy, the buff has a bit of a range to it. It's pretty close, right? So within one enemy, let's say if I'm just next to this guy, it will reduce the amount of damage to take by 1 and increase damage to do by 1. This is kind of cool. In a group of enemies, like 3 of them, it'll actually give me a buff for all 3. So this is kind of where it caps out. This one seems interesting, like if you were to be a DPS or a tank. For a DPS, this is 1% boss damage if you wanted to, but you could probably go 3% if you were going to finding one enemy anywhere with Nausea. But let's say you're doing Mythic Pluses, this could be pretty good, 3% damage increase and 3% damage taken less. Maybe that could save you in some situations. If you were a tank, since Draven kind of comes off as a tank-focused Soulbind, if anything, because so many defensive bonuses, I guess this could be pretty good. This becomes not as good against one boss, but I guess the difference is between 1 and 3%, which isn't that big. This could be kind of cool with all the other buffs as a tank. I mean, it could be more mobility as a tank while also taking less damage from a boss, even if it's just 1%. I mean, that's like 2% versatility. Or however much, really. This doesn't seem terrible, but doesn't seem bad either. I don't think Venthyr has any bad ones. I think Nausea really wins, in my opinion. Theodore bottom one, I would love some upgrades to him. And maybe for Battlefield Focus Presence for tanks or something, maybe that'd be cool if it was increased against one enemy or something. But this is not a bad start for Venthyr. I wonder how this will evolve in the future. Let's take a look at some of the other covenants. Alright, taking a look at the actual Soulbinds for the Kyrian, now that I have them set up. Again, probably goes from the bottom up is the same, but towards the bottom we got Better Together. During combat, moving within 3 yards of party or raid member inspires both of you, increasing mastery by 40 for 1 whole minute. So basically in your party or raid, could you just give everybody 40% 40 more mastery? Not 40%, but 40 more mastery. I'm gonna try inviting this guy to my party, see if this could work properly. I'm gonna try to get in combat, then move next to him. Maybe he won't let me. Hey, how's it going? Does this work properly? Oh, he does get a buff. So he has it for a minute. So you could basically just... Can I refresh it? Okay, so I feel like as long as he has the buff, he has a mastery. Test and mastery buff. During combat, move within 3 yards of a party or raid member inspires both of you, increasing mastery. Wait, so could you just basically run through your whole raid and give everybody a mastery buff, or how does it work? Okay, my mastery buff is about to run out. I'm gonna walk, get myself keep myself in combat here, walk next to him. We get mastery. We're friends. Oh, that's cool. TY. Hold on, let me thank him actually. What do you... Okay, he ran off. My friend is gone. But at least I gave him a mastery buff. That's kind of unique. I wonder if you could just run through your whole raid and just give everybody a mastery while getting high fives. That would be fun. Path of the Devoted. After recovering from a loss of control effect, you take 15% reduced damage, and your movement speed cannot be reduced below 90% for 6 seconds. May only occur once every 30 seconds. That's such a short cooldown. Whoa. This could be really cool for PvP. Recovering from loss of control effect, you take 15%. So after coming out of CC, so you have to survive the CC first. The movement speed thing, I kind of like. The 50% reduction, I also kind of like. It doesn't work when the rogue stuns you. It's only after the stun, so you gotta survive it. But this could be pretty cool. 30-second CD, I think, is interesting, if anything. Towards the bottom, you have Newfound Resolve. At any moment during combat, there's a low chance your doubt will manifest for 10 seconds. Directly facing your doubt will overcome it, granting you 12% agility and stamina for 15 seconds. What? 12? Okay, we're just gonna hit this dog thing until our doubt manifests. I'm thinking negative thoughts. Right now. My doubt, can it manifest? Low chance. Is this like one of those... Wait, is that my doubt? It is my doubt. Wait. Oh. Well, that's a lot of agility. That is a 15% more agility. Seems like a lot. That seems like a real big number. What? This seems really good. Okay, so this could be good for tanks, healers, and DPS. That low chance to face to spawn a doubt, though, I doubt, haha, will be really good. Get it? It was a pun. This seems really good. I wonder what the actual chance of it to get is. It probably maybe happens like once in 2 minutes or something, once every minute and a half. Even if once a minute and a half could be pretty good, especially for classes that are very passive rather than bursty. This could be really good for 10 seconds. Stamina could be good for tanks. Stamina could be good for survivability in general. And the stats could also be huge. For 15 seconds, quite a long time. This is really nuts. Next, we have Clea. And for Clea, I've actually had a little bit of experience with it. For left side of Clea, we have Spear of the Archon. Movement speed increased by 6%. While out of combat, gain 3% crit chance for 10 seconds after damaging an enemy above 90% health. So while I'm out here, I'm moving a little faster, which could be good if you're a mobile class. And when you damage somebody above 90% health, he was just above 90%. Wait, okay, he's actually not above 90 anymore. What about you? Ha! Yeah, you gain 3% extra crit as long as you're hitting a new enemy. This could be good in Mythic Pluses. That 3% crit could actually be kind of cool, since Clea already gives you quite a bit of a crit chance. So if you go in between of enemies with Clea buff, it is going to be the Pointed Courage. 1% chance, so I'm surrounded by enemies. I have 5% crit here. I hit an enemy with max health. I have 8% crit just by itself. So I gained 8 crit just because I'm standing in between of enemies. And as long as I hit a new enemy, I get a nifty 3% crit buff on top of that. That's really, it's 8% free crit just for being in general vicinity of enemies. That seems kind of good. Then on the flip side of Clea, we have Violet Serenity reduces damage taken by 10% for 8 seconds. And its effects are also granted to your lowest health ally. This could be really cool. As a tank, 10% reduction for 8 seconds. Hey, you can pre-pod the vial, and let's say if a mechanic is war to one-shot you, 10% reduction is better than none, and it grants it to an ally as well. That's really cool. Wait, this could be really cool for healers too. This seems really good in general. I kind of like it. Towards the bottom of Clay, we have Light the Path. The Valiant Strikes grants you a quarter of a crit chance per stack. When your Valiant Strikes heals an ally, you each gain 5% crit for 12 seconds. So you first got to get it to stack up, and once you take some damage, wait, critical strike chance increased by 50. Wait, so while you have this up, you have 5% extra crit on top of it. Wow. Wait, so 5% crit, 5% crit from being in the middle of enemies, and then you also get 5% crit for hitting a new enemy. This seems like a lot of crit chance. This seems like a lot of crit on top of one another for this spec. Wait, if I remove this, does it reduce crit? I think it does. Yes, it does. Wow, that's 10% free crit, 30, maybe up to 13% free crit. And when it heals, what does it say? When your Valiant Strike heals an ally, you each gain 5% crit chance for 12 seconds. So when you stack it up, you hold 5% crit, but if someone around you does drop below health, it'll heal you and them, and it will also give it'll heal them and give both of you 5% crit for 12 seconds. That seems really good, because I always think of this Clea as a restoration shaman or a healer focused soulbind because of the heal bonus. But with 5% crit, any DPS could use it. This seems really, really cool. Finally, Mechanicus has some interesting updates. Soul Glow Spectrometer. Damage and healing a target analyzes its merit over 15 seconds, increasing your damage and healing to it by 1%, increasing by additional 1 every 3 seconds. Cannot start a new analysis until previous one has finished. So if, let's say, you're in a dungeon pack, AoE, you're hitting an enemy, you actually start using Soul Glow Spectrometer, and every few seconds you actually do more damage to them. And you can keep increasing that number as the spectrometer is on an enemy up to a maximum of, what is it, 15%? No, 5%. Okay, so then it will start again. So you'll do anywhere between 1 to 5% to an enemy over time, and it will not stop unless you finishes it full duration. So I stopped DPS in him, so now I gotta wait for it to go through it. Does it proc off of dots? It does proc off of dots. Okay, so like an Affliction Warlock would probably have a, I mean, not like there's a lot of Affliction Warlock Kyrians, but an Affliction Warlock would have a hard time focusing down into a single enemy. Like if you have a bunch of Flame Shocks, putting it on a prime target would maybe be difficult, wouldn't it? So that seems pretty good. And this works for additional increasing your damage or healing. So this could work on an ally as well. You can have one of these on me and one on an enemy. So I have this buff on myself. Enemy. No, you can only heal yourself or put a debuff on the enemy. So there are some limitations to it. On the flip side, we have reactive retrofitting. After taking physical or magic damage, gain a shield that absorbs damage equal to 8% of your maximum health for 8 seconds. Each incoming damage type may trigger this effect once per 30 seconds. So one of these guys is a dungeon dummy that can do physical damage. So that gave me a shield just now. But he can also do magic damage, can you not? I know you have a magic hit. There we go, Uber Strike. So that's a physical. He broke it pretty quickly. So what is the cooldown on this? There has to be an internal cooldown. Once every 30 seconds. This could be interesting. For a tank, this is nuts. Even for a healer, this could be pretty good. Really, for any DPS that's looking for survivability, this is also good, because this is 8% of your maximum health as a shield when you take physical or magic damage. At the very bottom for Mechanicus, you have Effusive Anima Accelerator. Vesper Totem, so your Covenant ability, releases a blast of overcharged anima at your target location. I wonder if this is for target location because I have a totem, so it marks it like, you know, like a grounding totem would with a target location, or does it just work like, you know, whoever is your enemy, it'll just do damage? But it does 5,000 arcane damage split evenly between all targets over 8 seconds. Reduces the cooldown of Vesper Totem by 4 seconds per affected enemy to a maximum of 20 seconds. Wait, so if you hit an enemy, you hit him for extra arcane. If you hit a group of enemies, it'll split, but it'll give a shorter cooldown. That's kind of cool. So again, probably if you have a longer cooldown ability, it does more damage and maybe even more cooldown reduction potentially. So Vesper Totem is, for me as a shaman, not a lot of shamans that are Kyrian, but for me it is, I actually don't, I guess I gotta make the macro for it. It is gonna be a minute cooldown, so it's not super long. What is the longest cooldown ability for a Kyrian? I guess it's the priest with, I guess it's the priest with the 3 minutes, isn't it? So I wonder how much of impact is it for them. But Vesper Totem, when I drop it down, it should do AoE. It does AoE. Oh, wait, it's a dot. Oh, it does over 8 damage. Oh, that's kind of cool. So I have cooldown reduced to remove it. Oh, okay. Actually, I want to try this again. So up to a maximum of 20 seconds, I think, with 5 enemies, right? Reduce the cooldown of Vesper Totem by 4 seconds per effect. Yeah, so it should be like a 40-second cooldown. That's pretty cool. Wait a second. Oh, that's kind of cool. Cooldown reduction. Wait, this could be really good for Outlaw rogues too, now that I think about it. That's kind of neat. Oh, wow. So maybe any abilities that already have a natural AoE effectiveness for it, those will be really good there as well. Huh. Interesting. That is actually very interesting. That's pretty cool. So you can drop it down, do a bit of AoE damage. I guess you'll just get the procs for Vesper Totem. Oh my god, that's quite a bit of burst too. So it'll hit a boss and it'll do quite a bit. Oh, that's kind of neat. I actually like this one a lot. I like the interaction between your Covenant ability. There's not too many of these for Covenants that interact with your Covenant ability. There's like a handful of them. But this is one of them with Mechanicos. I like it because Mechanicos as a DPS doesn't seem like that good as DPS. Like Brawn isn't bad, but Brawn is, I don't know. This is, I guess I always looked at it as more of a tanky option or PvP Soulbind. Usually Pelagos or maybe Clay if you crit focused are pretty good there, but this could actually give some nice damage increases to it. Also could be good for tanks to get your abilities back faster. Like that's more rage for warriors. I guess for blood decays, that's also damage reduction if you are Kyrian. This could be also good for, are there any healers that are Kyrian? I guess maybe like Holy Paladins, that could be pretty good for them too. Oh, this is neat. I like this one a lot. So does this always do damage or can this do healing? Is it always damage? So it looks like it's only damage, but if I swap Restoration Druid, will it change to healing? Because otherwise this is a damage focus thing, which as a healer I guess you could take advantage of somewhat. But let's find out. Dealing arcane damage, so it is still damage either way. That's interesting to see. Kyrians are actually looking kind of good. Next one we're going to take a look at are the Night Fae. And for Night Fae, again, we have Naya, Dreamweaver, Korin. I'm interested to see what they have. For Naya, on the left-hand side, Cold Shot. When you critical strike, you gain 20% movement speed for 5 seconds. This maker once 10 seconds. This could be pretty good for more mobility. Especially good in, say, in terms of mythic pluses or boss fights where you need some movement speed from time to time. Pretty short cooldown, so not too terrible. Naya, though, is one of the strongest Soulbinds with Grove Invigoration, so I wouldn't be surprised if this one wasn't as strong. On the other side, we have Survivor's Rally. When you fall below 50% health, you regain 20% of your health over 10 seconds and receive 5 additional healing from other spells. It can occur once every 60 seconds. Oh, so for 10 seconds, you gain pretty big healing, actually. This could be good for tanks, but really anybody. In PvP, I would imagine this would be nuts, too. And at the very bottom, we have Bonded Hearts. Gaining a stack of Redirected Anima, which is your main Grove Invigoration ability. From Grove Invigoration, literally says it there. Heals up to 5 nearby allies for 2% of their health. If any of the affected allies are of another covenant, Redirected Anima's mastery and maximum health effects are increased by 50 for 5 seconds. Wait a second. Wow. So this basically means that if you are playing with people of other covenants, this thing is simply stronger. So if everybody is Night Fae, and let's be honest, most DPS are Night Fae right now, it's just that good. If Blizzard could do some balancing to get more players to play other covenants, this could be really good. So this could be really good for key push groups. I know this is going to be good for raids, but for key push groups, this could be pretty good. Yeah, so this one has some healing. This could be good for a tank or a healer. Really not bad at all. Redirected Anima's mastery and maximum health effects. So it's also mastery buff that's stronger too. So your mastery that you get from Grove Invigoration is going to be better, not just the heal. Wow, that's really good. This means you will want to play in a pretty covenant diverse group. So if, let's say, everybody is Night Fae, but you have that friend that's a Venthyr Warlock, you might actually just want to bring that Venthyr Warlock, even though that's not meta. You will get more mastery out of it. That's kind of crazy. Then for Dreamweaver, we have on the left-hand side, we have Cunning Dreams. Entering Soul Shape slows the enemies near you, near your starting point by 50% for 6 seconds. So when I enter Soul Shape, I guess I need to exit Soul Shape, enter. Oh, okay, so it does like a little pulse and will slow enemies. That's cool for running away. Could be really good in PvP and even in Mythic Pluses. On the right-hand side, Waking Dreams. When you take damage below 80% of health, you gain a shield for 30% of the damage amount, lasts in 3 seconds. Does this not have a cooldown? When you take damage below 80% health, you gain a shield for 30% of the damage amount. Wait a second. This could be good if you're a tank. This gave me a shield. This gave me a shield. Wait a second. Wait. Whoa, this could be really good as a tank. I guess it could be good as a healer too, but DPS, if you want to survive fights a little easier, but that could be really good as a tank. At the bottom, you have Dream Delver. Dealing damage or healing a target grants you 1% increased damage or healing to that target for 4 seconds, up to 3%. So if you're constantly attacking one enemy, or up to 3%, so you can maximum do 3% more damage to someone or 3% more healing. Wow. I think Dreamweaver, I mean, at some point Dreamweaver was really good because you got your double potency early, so that's why it was good, but then everybody played Naya. I think this makes Dreamweaver maybe a bit more competitive with Naya. Naya is still really strong with Grove and now Bonded Hearts, but this one is an interesting one. Then at the core end, at the bottom left, we have after interrupting or disorienting an enemy, they deal 5% less damage for 5 seconds. For druids, you actually have a disorienting roar as a bear druid, so that could be good. The interrupt could be really good. I do wonder if this works for like big bosses that you can interrupt though. That could be interesting. Then on the right hand side, you have Hunt's Exhilaration. When damaging an enemy or healing an ally within 8 yards, you gain 3% leech for 5 seconds. Wait, is this basically a melee focused? Hold on, damage an enemy within 8 yards. Is this just constantly there? I have leech. Does this have a cooldown? Auto? Yeah, no, you just have 3% leech. Whoa, imagine this on a tank. That's gonna be kind of cool. The 3% leech is much, but as a healer, oh, paladins I think would low. I mean, paladin, Night Fae, there's not a lot of those, but imagine a paladin who is in melee anyway. Leech helps out a paladin a lot. You give leech to the party as well. That's kind of cool. And I guess for a healer, if you're, you know, stacked with other ranged, like a Resto Shaman, for example, where everybody's trying to crowd together inside of your healing rain, also pretty good value there too. And the very bottom, you have Wild Hunt Stratagem. When you damage or healing is enhanced by Wild Hunt Tactics, which is at the top, Wild Hunt Tactics. Damage a target above 75% health, or healing a target below 35, you damage and healing is increased. So that's kind of what it modifies. So gain Wild Hunt Stratagem for 1 minute. Next time you're damaging an enemy who is below 35% health, or heal an ally who is above 75, Wild Hunt Stratagem is activated, increasing your damage and healing to such target by 15% for 10 seconds. So if I'm a Boomkin and I hit him with a Wrath, it should give me a buff for Wild Hunt Stratagem, right? Yes, so when I hit an enemy that's 35% health or heal an ally, wait, let's see if we can heal an ally. Oh, healing taken from, oh, cool. This is weird, so it kind of flips it. So with your Wild Hunt Tactics, when you hit an enemy at high health or save an ally at low health, you do 10% more healing to that person, or 10% more damage to that enemy. But if, let's say, you hit an enemy with higher health and then you hit an enemy in execute range, you'll do even more damage to them. Or if, let's say, you save an ally from near death and then heal an ally that's basically topped off, you'll have 5% more healing to them. That's interesting. I think maybe in Mythic Pluses this could be pretty good. Like when you save a DPS that's low and then you throw away healing over time on a tank that's about to take a big hit, that could be good for healer. This could be good for DPS for that execute if there's adds involved. But it seems like you won't be able to do this on a boss as a DPS because you'll do Wild Hunt Tactics damage, but then you need an execute target. I mean, there is a minute difference between one or the other. In Mythic Pluses this could be good, but I don't think you'll be able to use this consistently with a single boss inside of raid environment. Really weird, very interesting. It sounds really cool and complicated, but I don't really know how useful that might be outside of Mythic Pluses, to be honest. Not a bad one, but I don't really know how I feel about this. How do you guys feel about this one? All right, lastly, we have the Necrolords, and sorry to say this, but I will not be able to test out Amity Soulbind since I don't have a Necrolord is fully maxed out. Like, I was actually just one more Renown away before I was able to. But for this video, not everything will be testable. We'll first start with the Marileth. Marileth's left side row is going to be Vicious Trail. When struck by a snare, you drop a puddle that lasts for 10 seconds. Enemies that step in the puddle slow by 70% for 5 seconds. Whoa, this could be really good. So again, if you're, let's say, getting chased by a warrior, hits you with a slow, you hit him with a slower slow, so you might be able to get away. Interesting. Then on the other side, you have undulating maneuvers. While above 80% health, 5% of damage taken is delayed and spread out over 5 seconds. It's like a monk stagger mechanic, isn't it? But this could be pretty cool, especially if your healers can top you back over 80%. This could be kind of cool. So you could take a big hit, stagger it, or at least 5% of the damage taken is staggered over time. I wonder how this would work with monks. Would this dip into stagger and double dip? Oh, that's a lot of potential right there. I would like to discover this. I would love a monk to try it. There's not a lot of Necrolord monks, but this would be cool. At the very bottom, you have Kevin's Oozling. Decimating Bolt, so your Covenant ability summons Kevin's Oozling to fight alongside you for 15 seconds. So maybe this number is changed based on the cooldown of your Covenant ability. Like the Warrior Banner is a 2-minute. The Decimating Bolt, I think, is a 45-second cooldown. So maybe the longer the cooldown, the longer the slime fights for you. His attacks cause your enemies to take 2% additional damage from you, and he periodically grants your allies Absorb Shield. Whoa, this could be cool for tanks and DPS. So when I hit him with a Decimating Bolt, Kevin's Oozling should be summoned. There he is. There's Kevin's Oozling. Kevin summoned an Oozling, and while he is up for 15 seconds, I do 2% more damage to an enemy. And he also grants everybody a shield, I believe, right? Yeah, he's just using Kevin's Wrath. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's interesting. Get out of here, imps. This is a cool one. So this could be good for healers, tanks, and kind of just a good all-rounder. I'm really interested in the undulating maneuvers. Next, we have Emily. This is the one we can't really test, but towards the bottom left side, we have Soul Slaw. After standing still for 5 seconds, the next time you move, nearby allies gain 20% increased movement speed. That could be pretty cool for getting from A to B. Then we have Resilient Stitching. While above 90% health, you gain a shield that absorbs 6,000 magic damage for 1 minute. This effect may only occur once every minute. This could be good for tanks. Tanks struggle with magic damage unless you're a demon hunter. So for tanks, if they are able to get this every minute, this could be quite nice. Honestly, Resilient Stitching, this could be quite good. I guess DPS too, but tanks in particular. At the very bottom, we have Fleshcraft covers you in 3 pustules per 1 second channel. So after you finish your 3-second channel of Fleshcraft, you should get 3. Is it pustules? That doesn't sound good. This, the word itself doesn't. Taking damage or being healed pops a pustule, dealing nature damage to nearby enemies and healing nearby allies, split between them. Okay, so that's a very small heal, a very small bit of damage. I think Emily may be strong by themselves with the lead by example and some of these other, benefits with Nash and Chompers, for example. So maybe they didn't make Emily super strong. The 800 damage doesn't seem like, especially in splits, that doesn't seem all that strong. The healing either. This could totally see a buff in the future. Then we got Bonesmith Heimer. On the left hand side, Carver's Eye. Damaging an enemy above 90% health grants you lots of mastery for 5 seconds, up to 5 stacks. Cannot gain this benefit from target for 10 seconds. So between 2 enemies, if let's say you drop a Dreadstalkers here and you do some damage here as well, actually I guess this would be better if I were to play a Affliction Warlock, because you could put dots on multiple enemies. So I guess as long as you hit a new enemy, you should be able to gain a buff. I don't know why these guys aren't counted. Oh, now it counts. Hold on. And you can prolong it. So if you have an Affliction Warlock with a bunch of dots and multiple enemies, you can actually have a 760% haze buff for a while. Maybe they changed it so it doesn't work with dots anymore, and it doesn't seem to be as responsive as it was the other day. But as an Affliction Warlock, I basically was able to have a 700... Look at that. It gave me Mastery buff again. But it was basically constantly giving me a 760% 760 Mastery, which is a lot. I mean, you only have, like, or at least my Warlock, 692. 700 more Mastery is a lot. And imagine this in AoE. I think that could be really strong for Warlocks in the future, or I guess really any classes. There's just a lot of mastery either way. On the right hand side, we have Waking Bone Breastplate. When 3 or more enemies are nearby, your maximum health is increased by 5%. This effect lingers for 5 seconds. This is pretty cool. Again, good for tanks. Again, good for survivability. And that's, I think, what they're trying to do is kind of give it a good all-rounder with defensive bonuses, offensive bonuses, and such. At the bottom, we have Mnemonic Equipment. When you damage an enemy that's below 35% health, 3% of that damage done is repeated over 5 seconds. Healing an ally grants them the ability to have their damage repeat this way. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. This worked only on some enemies that was able to hit with execute, and the way that looked is it was my staff. My staff basically pops up and it walks over and starts whacking the person and puts a debuff on them. So it kind of like replicates a portion of the damage when you hit the enemy in an execute. But also it seems when you hit an ally and they're hitting an enemy in an execute, it allows them to have a 30% effectiveness of this with 2 allies. So if you're a healer, you still give this benefit to other DPS. That's kind of neat. If let's say you're a class with natural healing that you provide to your allies, like actually, what class would you be? What class would you have to be? I think if you're a druid with Ysera's gift and you're hitting Denathrius in execute, if you are a Necrolord Bunny, for example, pneumonic equipment will also do damage to them. And if you heal an ally while they're hitting an enemy with execute with your, I guess it would be Ysera's gift, because that'll passively heal a random ally or the lowest health ally near you, it'll also give them a reduced version of this. And you can give it to 2 allies as well. So that's very interesting in terms of how to work out. It's, again, difficult to explain, but that's more or less how it works. Overall, these are some really cool changes. There's a lot of changes, and this ended up probably going to end up being kind of a long video looking at all of them, but this seems kind of cool. I'm glad that Blizzard is doing more stuff with Soulbinds and more stuff with Covenants in general in terms of the rewards and such. It's going to be a lot to do in patch 9.1, it seems. The one thing I noticed, and a lot of people I follow already said this, is we still only have a set amount of conduit energy. With so many more options, so many more choices, a whole new potency slot and left and right side, like there's so many more ways to build your character now. I think there's a lot more room for customization, and some players are worried we might start running out of conduit energy in patch 9.1. So we'll see how it turns out, but that's the only... all these look good. Again, besides just the balancing tunings of these things and potential energy issues in the future, these look interesting. I like this. I actually am happy they did more for the whole Soulbinds and Covenants, and I'm hoping this ends up being a pretty good system going forward. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for checking out this video. Let me know your thoughts and comments below. Hopefully this video wasn't too long, and if you want to see more detailed updates on 9.1, let me know in the comments. Discord link down below as well. I don't shout it out that often, but join our Discord. Ask me any questions you have there as well. I'm always around. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.